They told you to want less. They told you that ambition was dangerous, that desire was the root of suffering, that a wise man asks for nothing. And while you sat quietly, disciplining yourself into invisibility, someone else stepped forward, claimed the opportunity that was circling you for months, and walked away with the life you had convinced yourself you were too calm to chase. That is what happens when a man mistakes passivity for peace. That is the cost of misunderstanding what the Stoics actually taught. Welcome to Inner Citadel. I am not here to comfort you. Comfort is for men who have already decided to stay where they are. I am here to show you something most people never grasp about Stoicism. Something that turns this ancient discipline from a philosophy of endurance into a philosophy of attraction. Because the old Stoics were not passive men waiting quietly for death. They were generals, senators, advisors to emperors, men who built extraordinary lives while everyone around them assumed they had simply learned to accept less. They had not accepted less. They had learned the exact mechanism by which discipline, clarity, and inner order cause the outer world to organize itself around a man who no longer needs anything from it. Today, you learn that mechanism. Drop a comment right now and type the words "I control what I can," and everything else follows. Number 2, the rule of the reserved mind. Here is the first truth almost nobody explains correctly. The Stoics did not teach you to want nothing. They taught you to want the right things and to hold everything else with an open hand. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire while writing to himself at night about ego and restraint. Seneca advised a dangerous, unpredictable emperor while managing one of the largest personal fortunes in Rome. These were not men floating above ambition. These were men who had mastered their reaction to outcomes, which is an entirely different skill than mastering their desire for outcomes. Once you separate those two things, everything about this philosophy changes. You stop confusing calm with indifference. You stop confusing patience with passivity. The Stoic reserve is not the absence of drive. It is drive with the emotional noise stripped out of it. And here is why that matters more than almost anything else you will hear this year. A man whose mind is calm makes better decisions under pressure than a man whose mind is loud. A calm man reads a negotiation clearly. A calm man notices the opening in a conversation that an anxious man talks straight past. A calm man is trusted with responsibility precisely because everyone around him can feel that his judgment is not being hijacked by fear in real time. The reserved mind is not a retreat from the world. It is the sharpest possible tool for moving through it. Epictetus, a man born into slavery who later taught some of the most powerful men in Rome, put it plainly. Some things are within our control and some things are not. Fortune, reputation, other people's opinions, the timing of events. None of that is yours to command. But your judgment, your effort, your response, your character, all of that belongs entirely to you. The moment you stop wasting energy on the first category and pour everything you have into the second, you become almost impossible to destabilize. And a man who cannot be destabilized is a man other people naturally begin to rely on, follow, and reward. Number 3, the psychology of stillness. Let us talk about something the ancient Stoics understood centuries before modern psychology gave it a name. Stillness is not the absence of ambition. Stillness is a signal. It broadcasts something to every person who crosses your path, whether you intend it or not. When you walk into a room without needing to prove anything, without needing to fill every silence, without needing the table to validate you, people register that instantly, often without knowing why. Studies on first impressions suggest people form a lasting judgment about a stranger within seconds, long before a single credential is mentioned. What are they reading in those seconds? Not your resume, your nervous system. They are reading whether you are anxious or settled, whether you are grasping or grounded. And here is the uncomfortable part. The men who get overlooked most often are not always the least capable men in the room. They are the capable men who broadcast anxiety instead of order. They over-explain a simple idea until it sounds complicated. They apologize before anyone has even asked them to. They fill silence with nervous words instead of letting a pause do its work. Meanwhile, the man who has trained himself into stoic stillness says less, appears more certain, and is instinctively read as someone with something to protect, which is to say, someone with something worth having. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single sentence is not a comfort blanket. It is a strategic instruction, because the man who has stopped needing the outside world to behave a certain way is the only man free enough to actually read that world accurately and act on it with precision. Drop a comment right now and type the words, "I am not reactive, I am deliberate," because that is exactly the shift happening in you right now. Number 4, the discipline of desire. Here is where most modern interpretations of Stoicism get it completely backwards, and this is the part that will genuinely change how you move through the world. The Stoics never told you to kill your desires. They told you to examine them. Epictetus separated desire into 2 categories that most people never think to distinguish. There is desire for things outside your control, wealth arriving on your timeline, a specific person's approval, an outcome that depends on 100 variables you cannot touch. And there is desire connected to your own effort, your own preparation, your own consistency, your own character. Chasing the first kind of desire is exhausting because you are essentially begging the universe for cooperation it never promised you. Chasing the second kind of desire is where actual power lives, because every single day you can act on it regardless of what the world decides to do. Here is the part almost nobody tells you. When you stop begging for the outcome and start obsessing over the process that produces outcomes, you paradoxically become far more likely to get the outcome. A man desperate for a promotion behaves differently in a meeting than a man simply committed to doing excellent work regardless of who notices. The desperate man over-explains, overcompensates, and unconsciously signals scarcity. The committed man is calm, focused, and consistent, and it is precisely that calm consistency that makes decision-makers trust him with more. This is not superstition. This is basic human psychology. People are drawn towards stability and repelled by desperation, whether in business, in relationships, or in leadership. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of the anxious grasping you have been doing toward outcomes has never actually protected you from a single bad result. It has simply exhausted you before the result ever arrived. Let go of the grip on outcomes. Tighten the grip on your own discipline instead. That single reallocation of energy is one of the most underrated success mechanisms in the history of human achievement. Now, before we go further, if this framework is already shifting something in how you see your own life, subscribe if you liked the video. It genuinely helps this channel keep making content like this, and it takes about 2 seconds. Number 5, the art of the unbothered man. Let me clarify something. The word unbothered gets constantly misunderstood. It does not mean numb. It does not mean pretending nothing affects you. A Stoic is not a man without feeling. He is a man who has built enough internal structure that feeling does not automatically translate into reaction. Picture a fortress. Rain falls on it, wind hits it, sometimes lightning strikes near it. But the fortress does not crumble every time the weather changes, because it was built with that weather in mind. That is what Stoic training actually builds inside a person, not the absence of storms, but a structure sturdy enough to withstand them without collapsing. The world will test this constantly because people, consciously or not, probe for weakness. A colleague makes a snide comment to see if you flinch. A rival spreads a rumor to see if you scramble to defend yourself. A stranger online insults you to see if you take the bait. Every single one of these moments is a tiny experiment, and the results of that experiment teach people exactly how to handle you going forward. The man who explodes teaches the world he can be provoked on command. The man who stays composed, who responds with measured clarity instead of emotional noise, teaches the world something entirely different, that there is no easy lever to pull on him. Epictetus taught his students to ask a simple question whenever something upsetting happened. Is this within my control? If it is not, releasing your grip on it is not weakness, it is precision. You are simply refusing to spend a finite resource, your attention, on something that was never going to pay you back. The unbothered man is not disconnected from life. He is simply so selective about where his energy goes that very little manages to knock him off course. And a man who cannot easily be knocked off course becomes, over time, someone other people want standing next to them when things get difficult. Number 6, silence as leverage. Here is something the ancient Stoics practiced long before anyone called it a psychological advantage. Zeno of Citium, the founder of the school, reportedly said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen more and talk less. That is not just a nice line for a plaque. It is a strategic principle. Every time you explain yourself to someone who never earned the right to that explanation, you hand them information they can later use, whether against you or simply to categorize and dismiss you. Every time you announce a plan before you have executed a single step of it, you spend the emotional payoff of that plan in advance, which studies on goal disclosure suggest can actually reduce your own motivation to finish it, because part of you already feels the social reward of having said it out loud. So here is the discipline. Say less about what you intend to do. Let the results speak once they exist. This is not about being secretive or cold toward people who genuinely matter to you. It is about recognizing that most rooms you walk into do not need your full plan, your full reasoning, or your full emotional process. They need your presence, your competence, and eventually, your results. A Stoic does not need an audience validating every step of his effort. He trusts the discipline itself. And there is a strange, almost universal human response to a person who says little but consistently delivers. People start paying closer attention to that person, not less. Mystery is not manipulation here, it is simply restraint. And restraint is rare enough in a noisy world that it naturally draws respect. Drop a comment right now and type the words, "My results will speak," before I do. Because from here forward, that becomes your default setting. Number 7, confronting the inner obstacle. Everything covered so far, the reserved mind, the stillness, the discipline of desire, the unbothered composure, the strategic silence, none of it holds together if you refuse to face the one obstacle that outlasts every external one. That obstacle does not live in your boss, your competitor, your circumstances, or your bad luck. It lives inside your own head, and it has been quietly shaping your decisions for years, often disguised as caution. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself constantly about this exact enemy, the part of the mind that manufactures excuses dressed up as wisdom. It is the voice that tells you to wait 1 more year before starting. It is the voice that calls hesitation prudence and calls fear good judgment. It does not attack loudly. It reasons with you, quietly, patiently, in a tone that sounds almost exactly like your own. This inner obstacle does not need to defeat you outright. It only needs to delay you long enough that the delay becomes the defeat on its own. 1 more month of waiting becomes 1 more year. 1 more year becomes a decade you cannot get back. Stoic philosophy calls this the obstacle of the self, and it insists, without exception, that the only way through it is direct confrontation rather than gentle negotiation. You do not slowly coax yourself out of self-sabotage with soft affirmations alone. You name exactly what the hesitation has already cost you. You get specific about the opportunities that quietly expired while you were waiting to feel ready. Then you make a decision, not emotional, but deliberate, that this pattern no longer governs your choices. The Stoics were relentless about this because they understood something modern self-help often skips past. A man who has not mastered the territory of his own mind will always be governed by something outside it, whether that is other people's opinions, random circumstance, or his own recycled fear. Master that inner terrain first, and the outer terrain becomes dramatically easier to navigate. Number 8, the Stoic standard. This is the part most people skip because it asks more of them than a quote on a screen ever could. Most self-improvement content wants you to feel inspired for an afternoon. Stoicism asks you to build a standard that holds up on the worst day of the year, not just the best one. A goal is something you are reaching toward in the future. A standard is something you refuse to fall beneath today. Regardless of mood, regardless of circumstance, regardless of whether anyone is watching. Seneca did not maintain his discipline because he assumed every day would go well. He maintained it because he assumed some days would go badly, and he wanted his character intact regardless. This is the crucial difference between a man chasing success and a man who has built an internal law that governs how he shows up no matter what the day throws at him. In practice, this looks unglamorous. It means keeping your word to yourself, even when nobody would notice if you broke it. It means finishing the work you said you would finish, on the day you said you would finish it, even when your motivation has quietly evaporated. It means holding your temper in the exact moment it would be easiest to justify losing it. None of this makes headlines. None of it earns applause. But compounded daily, across months and years, this is precisely the mechanism that separates men who talk about becoming disciplined from men who simply are. And here is the part that connects directly back to the title of this video. When your internal standard rises, the quality of what reaches you rises with it. People sense reliability before they can explain why they trust you. Opportunities tend to move towards stability, not chaos. A man with an unshakable standard becomes, without ever announcing it, the kind of person other people want on their team, in their business, in their family, and in their corner when things get difficult. Now, if any of this is landing the way I think it might be, subscribe if you liked the video. It costs nothing, and it helps far more than you'd expect. Number 9. When the world starts rearranging itself. This is where everything we have covered converges into the truth this entire video has been building toward. When a man genuinely internalizes Stoic discipline, calm judgment, restraint over impulse, unwavering standards regardless of circumstance, his external life does not simply improve by coincidence. It reorganizes around the new internal order he has built. Opportunities that were always technically present but invisible to his old, reactive self suddenly become visible because he finally has the clarity to notice them. People who match his new standard begin appearing in his life, while relationships built entirely on his old chaos naturally start falling away. This is not mysticism. It is the direct, almost mechanical consequence of a changed internal reference point. When your judgment sharpens, your decisions sharpen. When your decisions sharpen, your actions sharpen. And consistent, sharpened action, repeated over months and years, inevitably produces a different set of results than the ones your old patterns were generating. But be warned, this rearrangement rarely feels like a reward in its early stages. Sometimes it feels like loss. Certain friendships quietly end because they were built on a version of you that no longer exists. Situations you used to tolerate start to feel unbearable, not because they got worse, but because your threshold changed. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action, and what stands in the way becomes the way. Do not mistake the discomfort of outgrowing your old life for a sign that something has gone wrong. It is simply friction, the entirely normal cost of genuine transformation. A snake does not mourn the skin it leaves behind. It simply moves forward into territory the old skin could never have survived in. Number 10. Become the man who no longer needs permission. This is where it ends, and where you actually begin. Everything in the last 9 sections was never meant as abstract philosophy. It was a deliberate dismantling of the myth that Stoicism is about wanting less, expecting less, and quietly accepting whatever life happens to hand you. That was never what these men taught, and it was never what they lived. Marcus Aurelius ran the most powerful empire on earth while practicing this discipline every single night by candlelight. Seneca built one of the largest fortunes in Rome while writing some of the most enduring guidance on restraint ever produced. Epictetus rose from slavery to becoming one of the most respected teachers in the ancient world, using nothing but the discipline of his own mind as his starting capital. None of them got there by wanting nothing. They got there by mastering their reaction to everything, which freed an enormous amount of energy to pursue exactly what mattered, without the noise of fear, anxiety, or desperation clouding every decision along the way. That is the real secret hidden inside this philosophy. Discipline your mind completely, and the world stops feeling like something you have to fight for scraps from. It starts responding to the calm, consistent, unshakable signal you are now sending out into it. So here is what I am asking you to actually do. Not eventually, not once you feel ready, because that feeling was never going to arrive on its own. Choose one thing this philosophy asked of you today: the reserved mind, the discipline of desire, the unbothered composure, the confrontation of your inner obstacle, and apply it before the day ends. Not as an idea you agreed with, as an action you took. Because a standard that only exists in your head is not a standard at all. It is simply a thought you had once. Turn it into something you practice, and watch how quickly the world around you begins, quietly and then unmistakably, to rearrange itself. If this video gave you something real to work with, subscribe if you liked the video, and I will see you in the next one.